My name is Roman Bodnarchuk. It's a privilege to be here today. I appreciate the time. I'm from Toronto, and I've been in the real estate business my entire life. So my life is, a lot of it's about 200 days a year, traveling to 15 different countries, 5 continents. But home base is Toronto, and that's where I've got 3 kids. So Toronto is what I call home. I was 14 years old, and I saw kind of a big ad in the paper about a 2-day real estate seminar. So I thought, interesting. I'm kind of interested in real estate, and no one else was going to teach me that in school. So I signed up for this 2-day course. It's at a university in Toronto called York University. And after 2 days of this course, I thought, geez, I think I could do this. So the hardest sell of my entire life was convincing my new co-owners. My 2 co-owners were my parents and my aunt and uncle. And the greatest salesmanship ever required me convincing them to sign on the mortgage, because unfortunately, banks don't give mortgages to 14-year-old kids. I was able to convince them to do it with me, and we bought our first property. It was a duplex, and it needed a lot of work. So we were able to renovate the units, get much higher rents, and then we renovated the basement and created a 3rd apartment. And then what I learned about refinancing is within 120 days, we're able to go to the bank that gave us the initial mortgage. We're able to refinance the property for significantly more because we could show the higher rents, we could show the new apartment, and I was able to buy the one next door. And I've done this hundreds of times over the last few decades, and I've loved real estate ever since I was 14. My first real estate developer client is a company called Tridel. Tridel is the largest condo developer in all of Canada by far. They built over 60,000 homes. They're an incredible organization. And in 1998, people forget that real estate goes through cycles. And 1998 wasn't a boom year in real estate. And if you're building a brand new condominium in downtown Toronto, and it wasn't the most desirable place to live either. To summarize the story, Tridel hired us to help them sell at a project they'd been actively trying to market for almost 2 years, and it was not successful. And so my first condo project was for Tridel, and we were able to sell it out very quickly. We used the internet. It was basically an internet marketing exercise. We created an online contest called My Free Tridel Home. 38,000 people registered. They went online, told us a lot of information about themselves, and then we did these seminars educating people, what is a condominium? Because if you can think back to 1998, people didn't even know what a condominium was. So, you're buying air. You're buying this weird piece of real estate in the sky, and you don't actually own any land. So it's a very weird concept for people. So we did these 3-hour seminars, and honestly, they're quite boring. We had lawyers speaking about, what is a condominium and what's a condominium board and why do you have to pay condominium fees? Back in the late 90s, we spent a lot of time educating people about why condominiums make sense. Today, that conversation is pretty easy. People understand what condominiums are. But when we started in the business in 1998, condominiums were very new. Toronto's become one of the world leaders in terms of the condo business, the condominium business. But again, back in the late 90s, it was a very unusual thing, similar to what we're dealing with today with co-ownership. It's a whole new area that people don't know much about. So co-ownership is super important. If you think about the stock market, so if you wanted to buy a share of Berkshire Hathaway, it's an incredibly expensive share. Or even Tesla or Google shares or Amazon. I mean, these shares are in the thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. So what they created in the stock market was a way to own a fraction of a share, similar to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin right now might be $40,000, $50,000. Not everyone has $40,000 or $50,000 to buy a Bitcoin, but you can buy a fraction. So the financial markets have created fractions of stocks and bonds. This has been around for decades now. But in real estate, it's very new. So as real estate's become incredibly expensive, for example, we're in Toronto today, where the average home, so this is not like a nice home, this is just the average home, is now in excess of $1.3 million. So the average person, for them to be able to purchase a $1.3 million home is super difficult. So perhaps they could do that with family members, whether it's parents or siblings or friends. So co-ownership becomes really, really important. So never before in the history of real estate has co-ownership been more important? And then when you talk about second homes, it becomes absolutely it becomes a necessity, because in the second home area, when you have a vacation home, the average second home is only utilized less than 10% of the time, which means these 110 million second homes around the world, they're sitting vacant on average 10 months a year, which makes no sense. So buying a second home with a friend or family member makes a whole lot of sense. There's just never been a real solid legal structure around it with operating agreements, etc. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and why this is so timely and why it makes so much sense.
We do property tours all the time. I show you homes that 1% of the 1% can own. How to bring 1% homes to more people. How do you take a luxury vacation secondary home market, which is mostly sitting vacant most of the time? These houses are empty all the time, which is totally wasteful, not sustainable, not green whatsoever, and bring it to more people. Through the process of LLC ownership, you can now own this house. It's not a timeshare. You're not gonna Airbnb this. Actually, you're not even allowed to rent it. You can own it. Like, I could buy this house right now, $6 million house, and I could buy it for $875,000. Insane. The house comes fully stocked. Everything is ready to go. Towels, everything. Like as if it's a 5-star resort, but it's not a hotel, it's not a timeshare. You own it. So you don't just have to use this house for vacation. You can use this house for work too. Like maybe you come to Miami Beach all the time for work and you're sick and tired of staying in hotels, and the desk is already set up. Everything's good to go. You are ready. I also like the idea of not bouncing around to hotels. House is so nice. Oh, it's like your house. You get to own it. It's not like a timeshare where you also have like hotel people staying in it. And it's not like you've got your cousin Vinny who's like barging in, who's like, oh, I thought I bought this weekend. It's like, no, Vinny. Furniture, like I said, comes with these houses. They're in 35 cities, they're in multiple countries. Go to their website, you can see it's completely insane. They're going into New York now, lots of other places. And so everything comes like really, really, really nice. That's what co-ownership is all about, right? And it reminds me too of like the sustainability of home ownership, right? Everyone wants their own house, everyone wants their own mansion, everyone wants their own place. But then all these people have these secondary homes all over the world and they never go to them. They sit there vacant on land that no one is using. So as we think about future forward, sustainability, owning homes, which is great, but being able to do it in a sustainable way, or as sustainable as possible, bringing co-ownership for luxury second homes in the best cities around the world to the masses. So check it out. I love it, and I think it's cool to get it out there to the world, and that's what this is.